The planet was known by a simple code, not a name. It was a heavy world, built of thick rock and dense metal. Its gravity was 5 times stronger than most living beings could safely handle. For many alien species, even standing on its surface for a few seconds could break bones or crush organs. That was why the planet was used only for remote research. No one walked there. No one ran there. At least, that was what everyone believed. High above the planet, a floating research station slowly moved across orbit. Inside, dozens of alien observers watched screens filled with numbers, charts, and live images. The station was calm, the work was routine. Most of the scientists were bored. Then, one alert appeared. A young data officer named Lero leaned closer to his screen. His eyes widened. He checked the numbers again. Then he checked them a third time. "That is not possible," he said quietly. The movement tracker showed a living being on the surface. Not a machine, not a drone. A biological life form. Another officer, older and more experienced, turned toward him.
"What did you say?"
"There is something moving on the surface," Lero replied. "Fast." The older officer frowned and pulled the data onto the main screen. The room slowly filled with concern. Everyone could see it now. A single figure was moving across the rocky ground below. Each step pressed deep into the stone. The gravity reading showed full planetary force. Someone whispered, "That area has no safety field." Another said, "No species can survive that." The station commander, a tall alien named Vesk, stepped forward. Increased the visual feed. The figure became clear. It was a human. The room fell silent. Humans were known in the wider galaxy. They were social, curious, and strangely calm in dangerous situations. But even humans had limits. Everyone knew that. The human on the screen wore light clothing and simple foot coverings. There was no power armor, no gravity support, no safety cable. His arms moved in a steady rhythm. His breathing looked controlled. He was jogging. Lero felt cold. "He must be injured," he said, or confused.
"No. Look at his movement."
"It is steady, controlled."
Another scientist spoke up. His heart rate is high but stable.
"Blood pressure is elevated but not failing." "That makes no sense," someone said. 5 times gravity should crush his joints." The human slowed for a moment and stopped near a small rock ridge. He bent forward, placed his hands on his knees, and took deep breaths. Then he stood up straight, stretched his arms, and rolled his shoulders. The station erupted into noise. "This is a safety violation. The human government must be hiding something. This could cause diplomatic damage. Begin recording everything. We will need full evidence." On the surface, the human wiped sweat from his face. His name was Evan. He had been assigned to the ground research unit 2 months ago. The high gravity was difficult at first. Every step had felt like lifting a heavy weight. His muscles had burned, but today felt better. Evan looked at the sky, though he could not see the station watching him. He checked the timer on his wrist device. He smiled faintly. "Not bad," he said to himself. He began jogging again. Up in orbit, panic grew. A medical officer named Sela spoke quickly. If he collapses, internal damage could be severe.
"We must intervene."
"How?" Vesk asked. "We cannot send a rescue team. None of us can survive that gravity." Sela hesitated. "Then we must warn his people." The word complaint appeared on several screens. A formal safety report began to take shape. It listed violations, risks, and possible outcomes. The language was serious. The tone was urgent. "This is reckless behavior," Silas said. "Allowing a civilian to move freely under such force is dangerous." "He may die," Lero added. Vesk watched the screen again. Evan's steps were heavy, but steady. His posture showed control, not panic. "He does not look like someone about to die," Vesk said. "That is what makes it worse," Sela replied. "If humans believe this is safe, then their standards are unacceptable." Below, Evan slowed near a marker pole planted deep into the ground. He stopped the timer. His breathing was deep but calm. He stretched his legs and arms again. A small ground drone floated closer to him. Evan waved at it.
"Morning," he said.
"You're late today?" The drone made no reply, but its camera transmitted everything. The aliens watching felt a strange discomfort. The human was acting as if the planet were normal, as if the crushing force around him did not exist. Lero swallowed. "Commander, what if this is normal for them?" Vesk did not answer right away. He remembered old reports about Earth. Heavy storms, natural disasters, long histories of survival under pressure. But this was different. This was visible. This was undeniable. "We cannot assume," Vesk said finally. "We must respond." The safety complaint was finalized. It accused the Human Research Authority of allowing dangerous exposure, ignoring interspecies safety laws, and risking unnecessary loss of life. The evidence included clear footage of Evan jogging under extreme gravity. The complaint was transmitted across official channels. On the surface, Evan finished his cool-down walk and headed toward the base entrance. Each step felt heavy but familiar. His muscles ached in a good way. He felt stronger than he had last week. As the sealed door opened, he paused and looked back at the open land behind him. The planet was harsh, silent, heavy. He nodded once, as if satisfied. High above, the alien station waited for a response. None of them noticed one small detail in the data stream. Evan's recovery time was shorter than before. His oxygen levels returned to normal faster than expected. The complaint moved forward, marked urgent. The aliens believed they were protecting a fragile species. They had no idea what they had just witnessed. The safety complaint spread faster than anyone had expected. Alien channels buzzed with the video footage of Evan jogging under 5 times gravity. Each step he took was recorded and analyzed, frame by frame. In many species, this would have been impossible. Bones would have broken, muscles torn, hearts overloaded. Yet here was a human, moving easily across a planet that should have crushed him. In the council chambers of the Alien Authority, the images were displayed on massive holoscreens. The room was crowded with representatives from dozens of worlds. They spoke in hurried, overlapping voices, their words sharp with worry.
"Is this footage real?" demanded an elder named Caro. His voice shook slightly.
"No species survives this gravity naturally. No species. The human must be genetically enhanced." Another representative, a tall and thin alien named Virek, shook his head. "It is real. We have confirmed telemetry. Their body metrics are authentic. It is impossible."
Humans should die instantly. A medical officer named Sela, who had first proposed the complaint, was now trying to defend her position.
"It is not impossible," she said. "We cannot be sure how humans function, but it is reckless. We cannot allow them to continue experiments without supervision. They are risking their lives and ours. Supervision? From us? We cannot even step on that world without collapsing." How do you propose we monitor them? Sella paused. We file the complaint, demand they limit exposure. Issue a protocol for all human operations in high-gravity zones. The council murmured agreement. They trusted their own species' limits. Anything beyond that was dangerous. Anything that defied expectation was a threat. Meanwhile, in the human station on the planet, Evan walked through the main corridor. He was unaware of the alarm he had caused. The atmosphere in the base was calm. He had returned from his morning jog, muscles sore but strong, and had already taken a short rest. His colleague, a woman named Lena, looked up from the control panel. Evan, the orbital station has been sending signals all morning, she said. They are panicking.
Do you know what they're saying?
Evan frowned.
No.
Just routine communications? Lena shook her head. No, they are filing a safety complaint. They say you were endangering yourself. They want a report. They want proof you are safe.
They are very worried.
Evan smiled faintly. That's their problem, not mine. Lena laughed. You always think like that. Do you even feel the gravity?
Of course I feel it, Evan replied.
But it does not stop me. It makes me stronger. Lena raised her eyebrows. You always have to be the strongest, don't you? Evan shrugged. I run. That is all. Back in orbit, alien officials were debating. They were deeply confused. They had expected humans to struggle, perhaps collapse under pressure. Instead, Evan's movements showed adaptation. They did not understand how a being so fragile by their standards could survive and even thrive in conditions that no other known life form could endure. One of the council members, a scientist named Rillo, looked at the data closely. Look at this, he said, pointing to graphs of Evan's physiology. His heart rate recovers rapidly. His muscles are not torn. His oxygen intake is optimal. He is stable under conditions that should kill him in seconds.
This is abnormal.
Abnormal or reckless? We cannot take risks. A human could collapse at any moment. That is why we must insist on limits. Safety first. Relo's expression hardened. Safety first? This is no longer a safety issue. This is a capability issue. We are watching a species that adapts, that survives, that thrives under extremes. They are not fragile. They are extraordinary. Sella frowned. Do not exaggerate. It is one human. We cannot make assumptions. Relo shook his head. One human is enough. I want to see more. We need tests. Controlled tests. Scientific observation. This could change everything we know about human biology. The council murmured unease. Some species believed humans were too unpredictable to be trusted with research. Others, like Relo, saw potential. The room became divided between fear and curiosity. On the planet, Evan prepared for another exercise. He did not know he had become the center of a galactic debate. He had finished his morning jog, stretched, and eaten a light meal. His body felt strong, but he wanted more. Today, he decided, he would test his endurance further. Lena watched him pack his small equipment. You really think you can do more? She asked. I know I can. Evan replied simply. We have data from yesterday. I know my limits. Today, I push a little further. Lena sighed. You are brave, or maybe foolish. Evan smiled faintly and stepped outside. The gravity pressed down heavily. but he did not falter. Every step required effort, but he moved steadily. His muscles adjusted with each stride. His lungs worked efficiently, drawing oxygen in deeper than before. Above, the alien station tracked him carefully. The monitors displayed his movements in real time. Every step was logged, every heartbeat measured. The aliens leaned forward, unable to tear their eyes away. They had never seen a life form respond like this. They had never seen adaptation so fast, so precise. Rillo's voice was quiet but intense. It is not just survival.
He is improving as he moves. Look at his oxygen efficiency.
Look at his heart rate. This is evolution in action, right before us. Sella glared at him. This is dangerous. He could collapse. We cannot allow this. Virek interrupted. Do you not see? The human is not at risk. We are at risk. If they can survive this, what else can they do? How far can they go? The aliens fell silent. No one wanted to consider the implications. The humans simply jogged across the surface, unaware of the panic above. He rounded a rocky outcrop and slowed for a brief pause. His legs were heavy, but he felt no pain. His body had adapted to the force naturally, easily. He looked around. The planet was harsh and unforgiving. Winds whipped dust across jagged rocks. The sky was gray, heavy with clouds. Yet he felt calm. He felt alive. Back on the station, alarms went off. Another human had appeared on the scanners, following Evan's path. This one was a new researcher named Mark. He began jogging alongside Evan, matching pace perfectly. The aliens stared in disbelief. Two humans moving in perfect coordination under extreme gravity. The implications were terrifying. 2 of them, Sella whispered. This is madness. They cannot survive this together. Rilo shook his head slowly. They are not just surviving. They are synchronizing. Their bodies are adjusting as one. This is a level of resilience we have never recorded. Virek leaned forward, voice tense.
How many more? How far can this go?
Are we watching a single anomaly or the entire human species? Sella's face paled. We must send an urgent report. This is not normal. Immediate restrictions are necessary. Rilo pressed a finger to the screen. Restrictions? We cannot contain what we do not understand. We need observation, not control. This is a discovery, a revelation.
The debate raged in orbit.
Below, the humans ran steadily. Their strides were confident, controlled, almost effortless. Each movement challenged every assumption the aliens had about biology, endurance, and survival. Mark slowed as well. They exchanged a brief glance and a nod, acknowledging each other silently. No words were needed. Their training was clear. They pushed each other, encouraged each other, and neither showed weakness. On the station, the data screens flickered. Telemetry showed rapid improvement in their bodies. Oxygen usage dropped. Muscles tightened and then relaxed with greater efficiency. Heart rates normalized. Bones seemed unaffected by the weight. Rilo's jaw tightened. This cannot be explained by simple training. They are fundamentally different. The human body adapts far beyond what we imagined. We must intervene. We cannot allow them to continue unchecked. Virek's eyes were fixed on the screen. And if we do not intervene, what will they do next? How far will they go? High above, the humans finished their run. They returned to base, walking slowly now to allow their bodies to cool. Evan looked back at the terrain, gray and jagged, and smiled faintly. Mark wiped sweat from his brow and nodded. Inside the station, the aliens watched the humans disappear from the scanners. The room was silent. Every representative knew that what they had witnessed was unprecedented. Every calculation, every expectation had failed. Relo finally spoke. The complaint?
Is meaningless. We are looking at a species that does not follow our rules.
That survives where others die. We cannot contain them.
We cannot predict them. We can only watch.
Then we are powerless? Relo shook his head. We are powerless only if we continue to think in limits. Humans do not have limits, we understand. And right now, we are watching just two of them. Outside, the winds continued to sweep across the high-gravity planet. Rocks shifted slightly under the immense pressure, but the humans inside the base were calm. They ate, rested, and spoke quietly. To them, this was normal. This was life. To the aliens, it was a warning. The safety complaint had been filed. The humans had jogged, and the universe had begun to notice. The aliens continued to monitor the humans from orbit, unable to look away. Evan and Mark had returned to the base, but the data collected during their run was far more than exercise information. Every step, every heartbeat, every breath had been logged. The readings were shocking. The aliens had expected strain, injury, or collapse. What they got was adaptation, precision, and improvement. Rilo, the scientist who had first noticed the human endurance, leaned forward over the main console. He could not believe what he was seeing. It is not just endurance, he said quietly. Their bodies improve under stress. Each exertion makes them stronger. This is not normal for any life form we know. Sela glared at him. You are exaggerating. This is one human, one experiment. We cannot assume the entire species behaves like this.
Exaggerating? Relay snapped. Look at the telemetry.
Mark's oxygen efficiency increased by 20% during the run. Evan's muscle recovery time halved in less than an hour. Their cardiovascular systems are adapting in real time. This is evolution, condensed and accelerated before our eyes. Sela shook her head. It is reckless to let them continue. They could collapse at any moment. Or worse, they could harm themselves. Relo's eyes narrowed. Or worse, they could show us what humans are truly capable of. The council on the station was divided. Some feared the humans. They believed any being capable of surviving under such extreme conditions could be dangerous if provoked. Others were curious. Could humans become allies? Could they teach the galaxy something new about adaptation and survival? Meanwhile, on the planet, Evan and Mark began a new set of training exercises. Today, they would push further than before. They moved to a rocky plateau where the terrain was uneven and sharp. The gravity pressed down, making every step a challenge. The humans did not slow. Their legs pushed against the weight with steady strength. This feels heavier than yesterday, Mark said, his voice calm. Good, Evan replied. It means your muscles are ready. Keep going. They ran together, measuring distance, time, and heart rates. Every movement was precise. Their bodies adjusted to the pressure with each stride. Where ordinary beings would have collapsed, their muscles stretched and flexed. Their lungs drew in more air than seemed possible. Their hearts beat efficiently, not frantic. Above, the aliens watched in silence. Relo's claws tapped lightly on the console. This is impossible, he muttered. Nothing should function like this. They are perfect under pressure. Sella pressed a clawed hand to her forehead. I do not understand. They are supposed to be fragile. Humans should die under this force. Yet they run as if it were normal. Virek, the council's security advisor, leaned forward. This is dangerous. If one human is like this, what happens if they all are? What if humans in larger numbers come to other planets? How do we defend against beings who can endure anything? Erilo turned to him sharply. We do not defend.
We observe. Understanding is the first step.
Fear is not a strategy. Observation is. Sella frowned. Observation will not stop them from dying, or from causing chaos. You do not understand human recklessness. They do not fear pain the way we do. Rilo shook his head. That is exactly why we need to study them. They are unpredictable, adaptable, and now we have proof. Back on the surface, Evan and Mark reached the top of the plateau. The wind here was stronger, whipping dust into their faces. Every step required effort, but their bodies were responding efficiently. Evan smiled faintly. Ready for the next exercise? He asked. Mark nodded. Let's see how far we can go. They began a series of sprints across the jagged terrain. Rocks shifted under their weight, but their strides were steady. Evan leapt over small cliffs with controlled precision. Mark followed without hesitation. Their balance, strength, and coordination were flawless under gravity that should have pinned them to the ground. In orbit, Rilo and his team analyzed the live feed. They are not just surviving, Rilo said. They are learning from the environment. Their bodies adjust as they move. Each step is efficiency. Each breath is optimized. This is not mere endurance. This is mastery. Mastery? Over a force that kills everything else? This is madness. They cannot continue. They will, Rilo replied quietly. Because humans do not stop. They adapt, they endure, and they push further. That is their nature. The council remained silent. The words of Rilo and the video feeds spoke louder than any debate. The humans below were breaking every assumption. They were defying every calculation. Where aliens had expected weakness, they found strength. Where they had expected fragility, they saw resilience. Evan slowed to a walk at the edge of the plateau. He stretched his legs, breathing deeply. Mark did the same. They looked at the horizon, where jagged mountains rose against a gray sky. This planet is harsh, Evan said softly, but it teaches you patience, strength, control.
Mark nodded. And pain is just
part of it. On the station, Rilo recorded the data. Note this, he said. Pain is managed, not feared. Fatigue is adapted, not fatal. This is not just physical ability. Dad, this is human psychology interacting with extreme conditions. Sella crossed her arms. Or it is foolishness. You can call it adaptation. I call it recklessness. One mistake, one misstep, and these humans would be dead. Rilo's eyes narrowed. And yet, they are alive? And not just alive. They are stronger than they were yesterday. Each exertion improves them. They do not merely survive gravity. They conquer it. Sella shivered slightly. This is dangerous. The complaint must stand. Limits must be enforced. Rules must be followed. Virek's claws drummed against the table. We cannot enforce limits on beings we cannot predict. We are watching a species that thrives where all others fail. We are defenseless if they choose to act. We cannot control what we do not understand. Rilo's gaze returned to the screen. Evan and Mark had begun climbing a steep ridge. Their bodies flexed under the strain. Dust and rocks fell around them. Yet they moved with grace. Their movements were coordinated, efficient, almost like a dance against the crushing force of the planet. "Observe carefully," Rilo said. "They are not just running. They are learning the environment, adjusting to every shift in terrain. Each movement teaches them more. Their bodies store knowledge, not just strength. This is the human advantage." Sella's voice trembled. "You make it sound like they are invincible. They are not. This is temporary. It will fail." "Temporary? Look at their recovery data from yesterday. They adapt in hours, not days. Their bodies respond faster than we predict. They survive, improve, and endure. That is the difference. This is not failure. This is evolution accelerated." On the ground, Evan paused near a narrow ledge. He tested the surface with one foot, then shifted his weight. Mark watched and mirrored him. The gravity pressed down, pulling them toward the stone. Each movement was calculated. Each step was deliberate. The wind roared around them, but their focus never wavered. Above, the aliens recorded every detail. Rilo could not hide his fascination. Mark the joint flexibility here. Note the oxygen saturation improvement at high exertion. This is data we have never seen. The human body is incredible. Sella shook her head again. Incredible is reckless, dangerous, unpredictable. They should not be allowed to continue without supervision. We cannot intervene physically, so we must restrict communications. We must issue warnings. Rules must be imposed. Virek leaned back, thinking. Rules will not stop them. Humans adapt.
Rules mean nothing if their instincts and training defy expectations. They will push beyond limits no matter what we declare.
Rilo pressed a claw to the console. And that is why we observe.
We learn from them. We understand them. Fear accomplishes nothing. Knowledge is the only tool we have.
Evan and Mark reached the top of the ridge. They stood together, catching their breath.
Their chests rose and fell steadily. Their legs were tired but not sore. Their muscles were warm, flexing with controlled energy. "Ready for the descent?" Evan asked. Mark nodded. "Let's go." Each step was precise, measured. Small rocks shifted, but their balance never faltered. The gravity pressed hard, but their bodies handled it easily. They communicated silently with small gestures, each aware of the other's pace. Below, a small canyon opened. They ran down the slope into the canyon, dodging jagged stones and sudden drops. Their speed increased, yet their control never wavered. They leapt across crevices, landed with perfect timing, and adjusted instantly to every change in terrain. In orbit, Rilo and his team recorded every second. "This is unprecedented," he muttered. "No other species can perform like this, not in such extreme gravity, not with such precision. We cannot enforce anything. We cannot even predict their limits. This is chaos waiting to happen. It is not chaos, it is mastery. They do not fear pressure. They do not yield to pain. They do not follow the rules of others. That is why they are extraordinary." The humans continued across the canyon, moving as if the planet's crushing force was nothing more than a gentle resistance. Rocks tumbled around them, wind howled, but they remained steady. Their bodies absorbed the strain, their minds focused, their spirits calm. Above, the aliens knew one thing for certain. The humans they were observing were unlike anything they had ever encountered. They were dangerous, not because of aggression, but because they survived. They were terrifying, not because of weapons, but because they could endure anything. And this was only the beginning. The council chambers were quiet after the latest observation reports. The images of Evan and Mark moving across the high-gravity planet had spread through every monitoring channel. Every representative of every species had seen the same thing: humans thriving where no other species could survive. Where most would collapse, they ran, climbed, and adapted. Where most would suffer, they improved. Rillo leaned back, his eyes still fixed on the data streams. "This is no ordinary survival," he said. "They do not just endure. They learn. Each movement, each breath, each muscle contraction improves their body. They gain strength while under pressure. This is evolution compressed into hours." Sella's voice was sharp. "Evolution or not, they are reckless. They are risking lives without supervision. We must enforce limits." Rillo shook his head slowly. "Limits will not stop them. Humans do not respond to threats the way we do. Fear does not guide them. Rules do not restrain them. They act according to their own instincts, and their instincts are stronger than our technology in this environment." The room murmured unease. Some representatives shivered. Some leaned forward in curiosity. The humans below had broken every assumption, shattered every prediction. The galaxy had believed humans were fragile outside controlled environments. Now, that belief was dead. Back on the planet, Evan and Mark had returned to base. They were sweaty and tired, but only in a good way. Their bodies were warm, their muscles flexible, their breathing steady. They checked their equipment, adjusted sensors, and prepared for the next part of their exercise. "This planet teaches you patience," Evan said, stretching his arms. "Strength comes slowly, but it comes for those who keep moving." Mark nodded. "And the harder it pushes, the stronger you get. Do you even realize how much attention you are drawing? The orbital station has been frantic since your last run. They have filed complaints. They are panicking. They are trying to figure out what you are doing and why you survive." Evan smiled faintly. "They will panic no matter what we do. This is normal to us. The gravity, the pressure, it is life, nothing more." Above, the alien station was in chaos. Sella argued with other council members. "We must restrict human operations on high-gravity planets. We cannot let them continue. They are not safe, and we are not safe." Rillo pressed a claw to the console. "Safety? We are already beyond that. They are not fragile. They are not reckless. They are extraordinary. And if we do not understand them, that is when the danger begins." Some feared the humans. They believed a species that could survive and improve under such impossible conditions was a threat. Others saw opportunity. If humans were allies, their abilities could benefit every species in exploration, colonization, and survival. In the meantime, Evan and Mark prepared for a new test. This time, they would move across the planet's most dangerous terrain, a jagged canyon that had been mapped by orbital sensors as lethal. The gravity there was even stronger due to localized mass concentrations. No alien had ever attempted to enter it. Machines had failed. Drones had broken apart. Evan checked his equipment. "We go carefully," he said. "Every step counts. Observe the terrain, adjust your balance, anticipate pressure points. One mistake could be fatal." Mark nodded. "I am ready." They moved toward the canyon. The ground was uneven, sharp rocks jutting out at angles. Dust whipped around them. The weight of the planet pressed against their bodies. Every step required effort, but their muscles flexed with control. Their lungs drew in air efficiently. Their hearts pumped steadily. In orbit, the aliens watched in disbelief. "They are entering a zone we declared impossible," Sela whispered. "They cannot survive there.
They will collapse. They must."
They will adapt. That is what humans do. They push limits because their limits are not what we think they are. Evan and Mark reached the edge of the canyon. They paused to observe the drop. Below, sharp rocks stretched for hundreds of meters. One wrong step would mean death. "Ready?" Evan asked quietly. Mark nodded. "Let's go!" They began their descent. Each step was careful, precise, calculated. Their bodies adjusted instantly to the changing angles, the uneven ground, the crushing pull of gravity. They leapt over jagged rocks, landed with perfect timing, and kept their balance. Every movement was controlled. Every breath measured. The aliens were silent. They had expected screams, injuries, or collapse. Instead, they saw mastery. They saw beings who treated impossible terrain as a challenge, not a threat. Relo muttered to himself, "They are not just surviving. They are mastering their environment. They are learning faster than we can measure."
Sela's claws clenched. "This is madness."
One misstep, and they would die instantly. They are reckless, dangerous. They must be stopped. But Rilo shook his head. "Stopping them is impossible. They are already beyond what we can predict. Every calculation we make fails. They act according to instincts, training, and adaptation we cannot comprehend." Below, the humans continued through the canyon. Dust and stones fell around them. Winds buffeted their bodies. Gravity tried to pin them to the rock, but they moved as if it were nothing. Every muscle, every joint, every breath worked in perfect harmony. They paused briefly to rest. Evan looked at Mark. "We are doing well. Keep steady. Observe the terrain ahead. Anticipate changes."
Mark nodded. "I see it."
"Let's go." They moved deeper into the canyon. The walls closed around them. The path narrowed. Sharp rocks threatened their balance, but they adjusted constantly, learning from the environment, adapting in real time. In orbit, the council members were pale. "They cannot continue," Sela said. "It is impossible for them to survive this. They are ignoring every law of biology." "They are not ignoring anything. They are not ignoring anything. They are transcending our laws. This is human capability. Observe and learn. Do not try to control." The humans reached a narrow ledge. A single misstep would have sent them plummeting into the jagged rocks below. Evan tested the surface carefully. Mark mirrored him. Step by step, they crossed the ledge. Their balance was perfect. Their bodies were strong. Their focus was complete. Above, the aliens recorded every moment. Rilo pointed to the telemetry. Heart rates normal. Oxygen levels optimal. Muscle strain within safe limits. They are not only surviving, they are improving.
Each step increases efficiency. Sela's voice trembled.
"This is dangerous. We cannot predict their next move. If one of them falls, they will not fall," Rilo said calmly. "Humans learn from environment. They adjust. They adapt. That is their strength. That is why they are extraordinary." The humans completed the canyon descent without incident. They moved carefully, steadily, and with perfect coordination. Dust swirled around them, rocks fell, and winds howled. Yet they emerged intact, stronger than before. Back at the base, they stretched, checked their vitals, and ate a small meal. Their bodies were warm, flexible, strong. Their breathing was steady. They spoke quietly, exchanging observations about the terrain, the gravity, the pressure points.
Each step teaches you more, Evans said. Every obstacle is information.
You feel it, you adjust, you improve. Mark nodded.
And each exertion makes us stronger. We are better than before. In orbit, Rilo recorded everything. Notice how fatigue is minimized. Notice how recovery is rapid. Notice the efficiency of every movement. Humans do not just survive. They evolve under pressure. Sella pressed her claws to her face. I cannot accept this. It is reckless. Dangerous. We should restrict them immediately. Restriction will not work. Humans do not follow limits. They define their own. And their abilities surpass everything we know. We are watching a species that cannot be contained by fear or rules. Rilo nodded. Exactly. That is why we must observe, not control. This is unprecedented. This is history. And we are only seeing the beginning. Outside, the planet remained harsh and unforgiving. Winds blew across rocky plateaus. Jagged cliffs rose high. Gravity pressed down with relentless force. Yet inside the base, humans moved calmly, rested efficiently, and planned the next exercise. For them, this was life. For the aliens, it was a warning. The safety complaint had been filed, but the aliens now understood that humans could not be confined by rules or expectation. They survived where others would perish. They adapted where others failed. And every exertion made them stronger. The Council realized the truth. The humans were not fragile. They were not reckless. They were extraordinary. And the galaxy had yet to see the full extent of their abilities. The warning was clear. The humans below were not dangerous because they sought harm. They were dangerous because they endured, adapted, and kept moving. And nothing the aliens could do would change that. The planet, the gravity, the dangers, all were a test. And the humans were not only surviving the test, they were mastering it. The galaxy had begun to take notice. The footage of humans running and mastering a high-gravity world had spread beyond the Council station. Rival factions, distant observers, and opportunistic species all began analyzing the data. They did not see scientists or explorers. They saw potential threats. Beings who survived where all others failed. Beings who grew stronger under conditions that should kill them. High above the planet, the Alien Council was tense. Rilo continued to analyze data with fascination, but others were uneasy. We underestimated them, said Sella. If other species realize humans adapt this way, what will happen? They will be seen as a threat. They will be attacked. Virek nodded. We are witnessing capability beyond imagination, and rivals are already watching. They will not wait. Humans could be targeted before anyone truly understands them. Rilo frowned. And if they are attacked, the consequences will be catastrophic. We know nothing about the limits of humans in combat or survival. They could endure anything. On the surface, Evan and Mark prepared for another set of exercises. Today, they were tasked with endurance tests through the rugged valley to the south. The terrain was jagged, uneven, and treacherous. Every step pressed against the strength of their muscles and the limits of their balance. Lena, monitoring from the control room, looked uneasy. You know the station is watching closely. The council is concerned about safety complaints, and other species may notice soon. If anyone decides to intervene, you could be in danger. Evan smiled faintly. We adapt. That is what we do. The gravity, the terrain, the pressure. It only makes us stronger. We are not worried about them. We focus on ourselves. Mark adjusted his gear. It is not just the terrain. The sensors show anomalies, unidentified signals approaching. I think someone is monitoring us. Maybe more than just the council. Above, in a hidden section of orbit, rival species observed the planet. A sleek black reconnaissance ship drifted silently, scanning the humans. The beings inside whispered in a harsh language. These humans.
They are not ordinary. Their movements defy limits.
They adapt. They survive. They will be a problem if allowed to continue. A commander, cold and calculating, stared at the data. We cannot let them become stronger. They may be useful later, but now they are dangerous. Test their limits. Apply force. See how far they can be pushed? Back on the planet, Evan and Mark began moving down the southern valley. The ground was jagged and uneven. Stones shifted under their weight. Gravity pressed heavily on every step. Dust and wind swirled around them. They moved with careful precision. Each step was calculated. Their muscles flexed with control. Their lungs drew in air efficiently. But their hearts pumped steadily. They did not falter. They adapted to every shift in terrain, every gust of wind, every loose rock. Lena watched anxiously. Something is coming, she said. Sensors show multiple fast-moving ships entering orbit. I think they are preparing to attack. Evan paused, scanning the sky. Do not panic. Observe.
Adapt. We can handle anything if we stay focused.
Ready for anything. Above, the reconnaissance ships approached the planet, staying just out of range of the orbital station's detection systems. Their presence was subtle, but the station's instruments picked up faint anomalies. Alarm sirens sounded as the council realized intruders were near. Sella's claws clicked on the console. They are not waiting. These rivals intend to test the humans. If they land, it could be dangerous.
Relo's voice was calm but tense. Let them come.
Humans adapt. Humans endure.
Humans survive where all others fail. We are witnessing a species that cannot be stopped by conventional methods.
On the planet, Evan and Mark continued through the valley.
Rocks shifted, wind howled, and gravity pressed down. They moved steadily, adjusting to every obstacle. Every step was precise, every movement efficient. Suddenly, a shock wave hit. A small strike from above sent dust and stones tumbling down the slope. The humans were forced to react instantly. They adjusted, leapt, and balanced, avoiding the falling rocks with perfect timing. They fired defensive strikes.
Move carefully.
Evan's eyes narrowed. We expected this. Keep calm. Observe. Adapt. Mark leapt over a rock slide, landing perfectly.
We are ready, he said. This is what we trained for.
Above, the rival ships prepared for a larger strike. Missiles and drones were launched toward the humans. The orbital station recorded the assault. The aliens in the council chamber gasped. They had expected panic, injury, collapse. Instead, they saw humans dodging, adjusting, and moving with remarkable speed and precision. Relo's claws pressed to his console. Notice their adaptation. Each obstacle is absorbed. Each strike is anticipated. They are learning faster than we can measure. This is human resilience. Salah's face was pale. This is madness. They cannot survive an organized attack like this.
They will die.
No, they are surviving. They are improving. Each maneuver shows coordination, efficiency, and endurance beyond prediction. The humans are extraordinary. Evan and Mark moved further down the valley. Missiles hit the rocky terrain near them, sending stones flying. They adjusted instantly, leapt over debris, and continued forward. Gravity pressed down heavily, but they adapted with every stride. Their bodies responded efficiently. Their muscles and bones absorbed strain. Their breathing remained steady. Lena watched the live feed in awe. They're perfect under pressure. They're avoiding everything.
They are faster and stronger than any simulation predicted.
Evan paused briefly, observing the trajectory of a falling rock. He adjusted his stride and leapt over it with ease. "Focus on the path, not the threat," he said to Mark. Mark mirrored him perfectly. They moved in synchronization, anticipating the environment and adjusting instinctively. Each second, their bodies adapted. Each exertion made them stronger. Above, the alien council and the rival ships could only observe. The humans were surviving impossible conditions. They were not panicking. They were mastering the environment. Every strike that should have injured them passed harmlessly. Every obstacle that should have slowed them was absorbed efficiently. Rilo whispered to himself, "They are not fragile. They are not reckless. They are extraordinary. They are terrifying in their ability to survive." The humans continued through the valley. They reached a wide canyon where gravity fluctuations were extreme. Rocks shifted constantly, wind gusts were unpredictable, and the terrain was jagged and uneven. Yet they moved steadily, leaping across gaps, adjusting balance, and coordinating perfectly. Suddenly, a drone crashed nearby. It had been monitoring them from above, but their speed and adaptation had caused it to fail. The humans moved past it without pause. They adjusted to the fallen debris and continued. Lena's voice trembled. They are avoiding every obstacle. Nothing is slowing them. Every hit, every blast. They survive. They improve with each step. Evan looked at Mark and nodded. "Keep going. Observe. Learn. Adopt. Yes, we move forward." The rival ships above began to panic. Their calculations had assumed humans would struggle, collapse, or panic under the attack. None of that happened. Humans adjusted instantly, absorbing pressure, using the terrain, and continuing without hesitation. On the council station, the representatives whispered among themselves, "This is impossible," one said. "They cannot survive." Rillo shook his head. "It is not impossible. It is human nature. They endure, they adapt, they overcome. That is why they survive, and each exertion makes them stronger." Sella's claws clenched. "We cannot allow them to continue. We must issue orders, restrict them, stop them from moving further." Virek leaned forward. "We cannot. We are powerless. Their bodies are beyond our understanding. They survive attacks we cannot endure. They master environments we cannot enter. Rules mean nothing. Fear means nothing. Humans are unstoppable under pressure." Evan and Mark reached the bottom of the canyon. They were sweaty, tired, but strong. Their bodies were warm, flexible, and prepared for more. Every movement had improved efficiency. Every obstacle had made them stronger. Lena sighed in relief. You made it. The valley is clear. You are safe. For now. Evan looked back at the jagged cliffs. This is only training. Every challenge teaches us. Every exertion improves us.
We will continue to push forward. Mark nodded.
And nothing can stop us if we stay focused.
Above, the Alien Council recorded every detail. Relo whispered, "This is history. We are watching a species that cannot be contained by limits, that cannot be stopped by force, that thrives where all perish. Humans... They are extraordinary." Sela pressed her claws to her face. "I cannot believe it. They survive everything."
They improve with every obstacle. We cannot enforce safety.
We cannot predict their limits. They are dangerous. Virig's eyes were fixed on the planet. Not dangerous because they harm others, but because they endure. Because they survive. Because nothing can stop them if they decide to act.
We are witnesses to a species that has no equal. The humans rested briefly, planning their next exercise.
Their focus was calm, precise, and determined. The gravity, the terrain, the attacks, all were just challenges to be overcome. Every exertion, every obstacle, every strike had only made them stronger. Above, the aliens understood one thing clearly. The humans below were not fragile. They were not reckless. They were masters of survival. And if the rival species learned this, the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. The warning was clear. Humans survived where others would die. Humans adapted where others failed. Humans endured and grew stronger with every trial. And nothing, not gravity, not terrain, not attack, could stop them. The universe was beginning to understand that humans were extraordinary, and the true test was only just beginning. The aliens had watched humans long enough to know the truth. Evan and Mark, along with their small team, had survived extreme gravity, treacherous terrain, and even attacks from rival species. Each time they faced danger, they adapted. Each exertion made them stronger. Every challenge proved the same thing. Humans were extraordinary. High above the planet, the council chambers were silent. The holographic displays showed live feeds of the humans resting after their latest exercise. Their bodies were strong, breathing steady, muscles relaxed but ready. They looked calm, confident, and in control. Sela pressed her claws to the console. "I cannot deny it anymore. We filed a complaint. We said it was dangerous.
We said it was reckless, but we were wrong."
Humans are different. They survive where no one else could. They improve where others fail. Rilo leaned back in his chair, a rare smile crossing his face. It was never about risk. It was about observation. And what we have witnessed is not just survival. It is mastery. Humans are not fragile. They do not panic. They endure, adapt, and grow stronger with every obstacle. We cannot underestimate them. We cannot control them. And we cannot predict them. But we can learn. Observation is our only choice. Humans are remarkable. Back on the planet, Evan and Mark prepared for a final demonstration. Today, they would move through the most difficult terrain yet, a jagged canyon that had defeated every automated machine, every drone, and even the strongest aliens in simulation tests. The valley was steep, rocky, and unpredictable. Gravity here pressed down harder than anywhere else on the planet. This is it, Evan said, adjusting his gear. Every step counts. We move carefully, precisely. Observe the terrain, anticipate shifts, and adapt.
Everything we've learned applies here. Mark nodded.
We are ready. Nothing will stop us. Lena, watching from the base, frowned. You know, the orbital station has rival ships nearby. They are tracking your movements. If they interfere, be careful. Evan smiled faintly. We are prepared for anything. Focus is what matters. The terrain shifted beneath their feet. Jagged rocks threatened to unbalance them. Dust and debris swirled. Gravity pressed down with relentless weight. Each step required effort. Each breath drew in heavier air. They moved steadily, adjusting to every shift in the terrain. Muscles flexed precisely. Lungs drew in oxygen efficiently. Hearts pumped steadily. They did not falter. They did not panic. They adapted instantly to every challenge. Above, the alien council watched silently. Sella pressed her claws to her face. This is madness. They should collapse. Every prediction says they cannot survive this. Yet they continue. Rilo's voice was calm. This is not madness. This is human capability. Observe their movements, their adaptation, their endurance. They are beyond anything we have recorded. Suddenly, a rival ship fired a probe into the canyon. It was designed to test the humans. Pressure beams, heat pulses, and small shock strikes. Any ordinary being would have been incapacitated instantly. Evan and Mark reacted instantly. They adjusted balance, leapt over rocks, twisted their bodies to avoid the pulses, and continued through the canyon. Each strike only challenged them further, and their bodies absorbed the pressure efficiently. Every movement was precise. Every step was a lesson in adaptation. Lena gasped at the control console. They are dodging everything. The strikes are supposed to disable them, but they keep moving. Faster, stronger, and more precise with every step. Mark paused briefly, observing the pattern of the pulses. They think they can control the environment, he said quietly. They do not realize we learn from it. Every challenge teaches us. Every exertion makes us stronger. Focus on movement. Ignore fear. Adapt. Above, the rival observers were silent. Their instruments recorded every movement. Impossible, whispered one commander. These humans, they survive attacks we designed to kill. Another whispered in fear. We cannot match them. Their bodies, their minds, they adapt faster than we calculate. Back in the council chamber, Rilo pressed a claw to the console. Notice the efficiency. Heart rate normal. Oxygen levels optimal. Muscles absorb stress and respond instantly. They improve as they move. Humans do not just survive. They learn, adapt, and grow stronger. This is reckless, dangerous, and uncontrollable. They are extraordinary. But the universe may not be ready for beings like this.
Virek's voice was calm.
The universe will see them anyway. Humans endure where all others fail. Humans survive where all others perish. Humans adapt when others break. That is the truth. Evan and Mark reached the narrowest part of the canyon. A single misstep could have sent them plummeting hundreds of meters. The walls were jagged, uneven, and unstable. Dust fell continuously. Gravity pulled hard. Evan tested the surface with one foot, then shifted weight. Mark mirrored him. Step by step, they crossed the ledge. Every movement was calculated. every breath measured, every muscle coordinated. Above, Relo whispered, notice how fatigue is minimal. Recovery is rapid. Heart rate and oxygen levels remain stable.
Muscle strain is controlled. This is mastery of the environment.
Humans are not fragile. They are extraordinary.
Solo pressed her claws to her face. I cannot believe it. Every prediction, every simulation, every safety calculation, none of it applied. They survive, adapt, and improve under impossible conditions.
Viewership nodded.
It is clear we cannot restrict them. We cannot control them. We can only observe. Humans are beyond our comprehension, and they will continue to grow stronger with every challenge. Evan and Mark reached the bottom of the canyon. They were sweaty and tired, but only in a way that made them stronger. Their bodies were warm, flexible, and ready for the next exercise. They had absorbed every strike, every obstacle, every challenge, and they had come through unbroken. Lena watched with awe. They made it. They survived the canyon. Every test, every strike. They improved with every step. Nothing could stop them.
Evan looked at Mark and nodded. Every challenge teaches us.
Every exertion improves us. That is how we survive. That is how we endure. That is how we grow stronger. Mark smiled faintly, and nothing will stop us if we stay focused. Relo leaned back, a satisfied expression on his face. The humans have proven themselves. The complaint was filed, but it is no longer valid. They are not fragile. They are not reckless. They are masters of survival. They endure where others fail. They adapt where others break. Sella pressed her claws to the console. We must withdraw the complaint. Humanity is extraordinary. We cannot enforce limits, and we cannot predict them.
But we can respect their capabilities.
Observation is all we can do. They are beyond containment, beyond expectation. Humans are remarkable. Back on the planet, Evan and Mark returned to the base. They stretched, ate a small meal, and rested. Their bodies were strong, their minds calm. Every exertion had improved them. Every challenge had been a lesson. Outside, the winds continued to blow across the rocky terrain. Gravity pressed down with relentless weight. Rocks shifted and dust swirled. The planet remained harsh and unforgiving. But inside the base, humans were calm, confident, and prepared for more. They had endured the impossible. They had adapted where others would have failed. They had grown stronger with every step. Above, the aliens understood one thing clearly. Humans were not fragile. Humans were not reckless. Humans were extraordinary. They survived where others would die. They adapted where others would falter. They grew stronger with every challenge. And the universe had taken notice. The safety complaint was officially withdrawn. The aliens acknowledged the humans' capability. Rival species recorded everything. Realizing that humans could not be underestimated, Evan and Mark stood outside the base, looking at the horizon. The jagged cliffs, the harsh winds, the crushing gravity, all were part of life, and for them, these challenges were nothing more than opportunities to grow stronger. This is only the beginning, Evan said quietly, and we will be ready for whatever comes next. High above, the council recorded the final data. Relo whispered, "The humans have survived every challenge. They have proven themselves to the galaxy. They are extraordinary. And this is only the beginning of their story." The galaxy had seen human endurance, adaptation, and mastery. And it would never look at them the same way again. The humans had jogged. They had survived. They had conquered. And the universe had learned one simple truth. Humans endure where no one else can. And nothing, not gravity, not danger, not opposition, could stop them.